All right, and welcome to Hat-Trick Sports Talk. Back to our old roots for 1 week because we got some issues with the app itself, but we'll be back in full swing once Shane and Brandon come back in March. We're going to take like a little hiatus from the show because we've been doing shows for 23 straight weeks. I think it's time we take a 2-week break, but I'll still be on the blitz with the person who is joining us. Yeah, with the person who is joining us today and fellow Seahawks fans. We got a Seahawks fan party going on here. William Jones, one of my fellow interns. How are you doing, William?
I'm doing great, and go Hawks.
With that, Shane, Brandon, how are you guys doing?
Not too bad, you know. Another wild season of the NFL officially wrapped up, and it's always a little sad after the Super Bowl. Not sad, but it's just, it's like don't have any more football to look forward to for a while. But just good thing we got another good season in. So yeah.
Brandon, what about you?
I'm a little bummed with the way that the game ended. I was definitely a Bengals fan for one night. But at the same time, maybe we trade a Rams Super Bowl for Aaron Donald GTFO, and he can get to step
in McVay.
Maybe he'll actually follow through on what he was saying before the game and being like, I got my Super Bowl, I'm out. And you know what? All the Seahawks fans around the world would go, and a good riddance to you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
I don't know. I'm doing okay. As Shane said, it's the end of the season, but at the same time, Shane, you got to remember the football season never truly ends.
We got the combine in 2
considering
weeks.
The fact that if you look,
the draft,
the combine in 2 weeks.
Agency,
You look at you look at the calendar, drafts in like April, and then it just keeps on rolling. And before you know it, we'll be talking about preseason and like what the Seahawks are going to look like.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so let's get to the game. Brandon, I'll start with you because before we came on, we were talking about that pass interference that wasn't called, or actually no, the face mask, that wasn't called, and just the inconsistent of officiating. That was really my first thought after the game ended. Like, this officiating crew sucked. Like, it didn't call that many flags, which was good, but there were crucial moments. Yeah, that's true, and we can speak on how it sucked all year, but this game specifically, Brandon, give me your synopsis on the officiating.
Yeah, the officiating really bothered me, and because as you said, they didn't call anything for the first, I'd say 50-something minutes of the game, and then, as one would expect, the moment that the Rams get into the red zone with a must-have touchdown opportunity, the refs start just magically having yellow flags coming all the way out of their pockets all the time. And I was watching with some friends who don't normally watch football, and I was just sitting there and they could see me getting more and more just annoyed, and they're like, "Oh, what's the problem?" And I was like, "The problem is somebody been paying off these refs because it was gross. It was the most disgusting thing I've seen.
And it was bad.
What really bothered me was, and I sent a message to Shane after this play happened. It was after the touchdown that Ramsey gave up, and then the immediate interception off of Stafford,
which was out of the receiver. Normally they're out of the receiver's hands, but either way, where
I forget who it was, but one of the Rams players, they basically a bunch of them sacked Burrow, and then they weren't getting up off of him, and one of the Bengals guys that came over and pushed him. He ended up getting that
was Donald. That was Donald, right?
Penalty. Yeah, Donald pushed from the back.
I messaged Shane. I was like, football. I was like, the NFL's getting soft. And Shane's like, why? Why would you say that? I'm like, because when someone comes over to stop a player on the other team from basically like kneeling on your quarterback's knee, like he was injured from that play. Like, yeah, he was able to keep playing, but like he was.
By the way,
to me, like this is why I don't like the Rams. They'll take that little extra like.
They're dirty.
Yes, thank you. They're dirty. They'll take that extra step to like
Donald especially.
Try and yeah, like, and I don't know. It like I usually when if there's a team I'm cheering against in the Super Bowl, if they win, usually I can go, you know what? Good game. You won. I wanted the other team to win. Man, I got to the end of that game and I was just sitting there and I was going, I just don't like this. And I was thinking about it. I was like, why don't I like this so much? Well, one, there's the fact that they basically paid to win. Like they paid
this team. They paid for this team.
Yeah, they were like, oh, we don't need draft picks. We can just spend our money, which is a problem for the NFL. And two, it's the fact that you have a lot of these players who have they're not great people.
Like, well, I mean, not great on the field, but
I'm not even talking Robert. I'm not even talking about like they. I mean, I've seen like just the way that they come across in their interviews and in like personality wise, and like there's a difference between like being like annoyed because someone in like Russell is like, you know, like too perfect sometimes, where he's like,
yeah,
oh, you know, religion, all that stuff, and like I'm just doing my own thing. And then you got a guy like Odell Beckham Jr., who's like, oh, everybody's hating on me, everybody's sleeping on me, I'm gonna do all this, I'm so great. And you look at your stats and your stats are nothing. Like you've gone from team to team to team and you do nothing, and then you're out there basically like bawling your eyes out, like, oh, we did it. And I'm like,
I mean, hey, you want to chip?
You do anything? So. Like
he was important in the playoffs, though. I
mean, yeah, but like he basically jumped ship. Like he did nothing for the Browns. I mean, I don't know. I just have a problem.
Yeah,
there are a lot of players in the Rams that I just have like no love for.
I think a great example of what you're talking about, Brandon, is Jaylen Ramsey. I was reading something about this interview he did. Was it? I think it was this morning, actually. I was reading this, and he was just like talking crap about so many people around the league, and
that's not fun.
Even his own teammates. Like he was talking about how it was in 2019 when he had just gotten to the Rams, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, Goff's all right, but we could do better." And it's even if that's what he's thinking, like you don't say that about your teammate, dude. Like that's
true, yeah.
You know, and like that's just it's like that, and that's like, you know, with Aaron Donald. I mean, that's the face of their defense. And what's Aaron Donald doing? Well, he's playing dirty and trying to injure Joe Burrow, even if he didn't. I know he was.
I mean, he did get hurt pretty bad on that play, or not that play, but I think on one of them.
But, you know, I mean, those guys they're good players. Don't get me wrong. That's not what this is about. It's just that, you know, like Brandon was saying, I just really don't like the attitude that those guys have. You know, it's just, I mean, if that's how you're going to be, then that's fine. But, you know, don't take all that stuff publicly, because you're just making yourself and your team look bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how like, as Brandon said, that's just a lot of people on that team who I feel are like that.
You know, this is just thinking about the game overall. I think one of the benefits of us doing this the day after is because I sat like all day today just trying to think about the game, because like when you're in the moment, you're watching it at like a Super Bowl party and stuff like that, you're kind of like engrossed in that. Like for me, I was just watching the game and I enjoyed it watching it, but like I was listening to Bill Simmons talk about this today with cousin Sal, and just like kind of getting the pulse of what the media was saying today, and just thinking through my overall thoughts. And I think the one word that I kept coming up with was this game was just sloppy. And it was sloppy, and it was sloppier than I'll remember. Like, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it in a few months, because I think rewatching it again will give me a bit of a clearer view of what happened. But I think the word for me is sloppy. William, do you agree with that? Do you think sloppiness is kind of what the game felt like to you?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty like uncoordinated. It's it's because I don't know. There was some passes. I feel like for instance with Joe Burrow. I remember one time he overshot Jamar Chase, I believe, on the sideline, and he thought he was going one route, but he was going another route, or he stopped. And then there were times where I guess some miscommunications and also some lack of runs, not a lot to the run game. Yeah, and also I feel like so also the officiating too was pretty uncoordinated as well. I just felt like this game is not really like on par being being a clean game. It's mostly sloppy.
Yeah. And I think part of this aspect as well for the Rams, right? So think about this historically. I was listening to again, Bill Simmons' podcast, and he said this. There have been 5 times in the Super Bowl where a team has rushed with between 2 yards on average or less. The Rams averaged 1.9 yesterday. Of those 5 teams, only one has won, and that's the LA Rams. Like, I seriously sat there and was like, okay, the problem with the Rams is running game, and Stafford, after he throws a pick, they did nothing. Both teams really did nothing the whole second half. But I think Stafford throwing that pick, it kind of screwed with him. And then the running game just not being there, I think was huge. But Shane, like this, I said this in our chat afterwards. I'm like, this is not the best game the Rams have played. And I was thinking about this. I think the best game they played was, I believe, week 1 or week 2 against Chicago. Other than that, this is how the Rams were the whole second half of the year. This game was pretty much that.
I think their best game was, well, yeah, that. But I was personally more impressed with them when they beat Tampa, like what was it, 35-14 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they were a better team, but yeah, I was really surprised that they won the Super Bowl. I'll be honest. I mean, not like I wasn't surprised like in the last few days. I figured when I knew that it was Rams Bengals, I figured okay, Rams will win. But like at the start of the playoffs, I felt the Rams were the 5th most likely team to win the Super Bowl. And this is the second year in a row that's happened where, because normally when we go into the playoff, no, yeah, 5th. Because normally when we go into the playoffs, it's like one of the 3, maybe 4 teams I'm expecting to win ends up winning the Super Bowl. But for 2 years in a row now, it's been like the 5th or 6th team, which is kind of strange, but that's beside the point. I think it was kind of strange, or at least I thought it was strange that the Rams didn't run it more. But I mean, I get it because since he has a really good rush defense, and they, as you said, the run game wasn't working out too well for them. Where it really shocked me though was for the Bengals that they didn't run more, because we've been talking about Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase and how great that connection has been all year, and it's been amazing, obviously. And also like T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, they've been good as well. But Joe Mixon, I think, has been much more key to that offense than a lot of people maybe give him credit for. I mean, he's one of the top 5 rushers in the league, and I think he was a pretty big part of their success. And so for them to just kind of not really include him in the game plan when you have guys like Jaylen Ramsey and Aaron Donald and Von Miller, Leonard Floyd for that pass defense. I don't know. I mean, it just seemed like a kind of a strange offensive game plan to me, because at first they were doing, a lot of short passes and whatnot, which I liked, but then obviously they, McVay started catching on to that and adapted as a good coach does. And then, it was like they started trying to do more deep passes, and it just didn't really work out because that Bengals offensive line is, I mean, they looked like it was a Pee-wee ball out there. It's like against that Rams defense. So, yeah.
Yeah. You know what I didn't like the most about their game plan for the Bengals was the running game, because there was a 3rd and 1. I think it might have been early in the first. There was a 3rd and 1 where they ran it with Samaje Perine.
No, it wasn't even early in the first, dude. It was the end of the game. That was the game where Aaron Donald came in and grabbed him with one hand, going behind his back, and basically pulled his ass back from getting the first down. And I'm like, I get it. Perine is your 3rd down back.
And he's a pretty good one too, but it's the Super Bowl, bro. Like,
exactly.
It's the Super Bowl.
Why, when you are when you need 1 yard to probably be to either here's the thing. You get 1 yard, you probably get enough yards to kick a field goal because you have arguably the best kicker left. You have the best kicker in the season.
Best postseason kicker.
What I want to know is why here's what I want to know. Speaking of best kicker, what are they doing going for on 4th and 1 when they should have just been like, you know what? This dude's hit a hell of a kick before. Let's give him the chance. It's the end of the game. You're losing one way. If you miss the kick, you lose. You
66 yards.
Yeah,
66 yards. They were way too deep.
I don't know, man.
66 yards. I would have been mad if that happened.
Justin Tucker, maybe, but
not Evan McPherson as a rookie. No thanks.
But here's my point. I'm sorry. Literally my thinking before that play even happened was, man, you have just as much chance of hitting a 66-yard as you have getting 1 yard here.
And that was kind of the whole thing with the game too, because the Bengals, when they were in short yard situations, they would try to run or they would try to do something and it just wouldn't work. Like they had a huge issue on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Yeah. The crazy thing is Burrow nearly managed to have his little weird flippy pass actually work out.
I know, that was so close. That was closer than it looked. Yeah.
Here's a question that I have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the Rams defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised if there are a couple pieces on that defense that either retire or leave.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of them are on big contracts. I think Vaughn is on a 1-year deal.
Done. He's retiring. I'm guaranteeing it. Because he was going to retire anyway before he got picked. Grabbed
he won a Super Bowl. See ya.
Exactly. Like if I'm Von Miller, I went from having 1 Super Bowl and already a guaranteed Hall of Fame slot. Now I have 2 Super Bowls and a definitely guaranteed Hall of Fame slot.
Like, if I'm him, I'm like, bye.
I'm like, bye-bye. See ya. Thanks for the Super Bowl. Like, second Super Bowl
hang out
ring.
in Maui or something.
If I'm Aaron Donald, honestly, straight up, if I'm Aaron Donald, you have no more reason to play. You got your ring. You've already had multiple Defensive Players of the Year.
You're a Hall of Famer. You're a first Hall of Famer anyway.
You're good. You've played. You don't need to play anymore. They're so screwed if they lose multiple solid pieces because they don't have draft picks.
They don't have draft picks or money.
They were already, and here's the thing, they were already pretty weak in their secondary. Like,
yeah,
I don't see them. Like I was listening in here's the thing. I was listening to who was it? I was listening to Covino and Rich on Fox Sports Radio after the game.
Yeah.
Driving home. And they were talking about how Like, this is great for the Rams. Good job. Congratulations. But then they were just really getting into the Rams are not. It's good that they won it because they're going to have a hard time living up to expectations.
Yeah, and
because here's the thing. They were on the knife's edge this entire playoffs. They nearly lost to the Buccaneers. They nearly lost to the 49ers. They nearly lost to the Bengals.
yeah, it was a rough one.
They did not have for a team that is supposed to be the like god tier old Madden put it together and like be the team that should beat everybody soundly. They look pretty bad.
Yeah, and William, moving forward, we'll talk. I guess we'll transition to kind of both teams' futures, and I'll start with you. Just think about this division in the NFC West with Seattle, with San Francisco, with Arizona, with the LA Rams. How do you project this division next year? Because you could see it being very competitive or one of the most competitive divisions in the NFC, correct?
Yeah, I see it because Seattle always going to be in the mix regardless every season. San Francisco, I don't know, the quarterback situation for San Francisco is kind of iffy about them for that one. Rams, I don't know, because they're probably gonna lose some pieces because I think some people probably going and some people's probably retiring. But I think more so I'm concerned with the Cardinals because you guys heard about Kyler Murray. He's having a little bit of shift with the Cardinals organization, social media. I think some people speculate that he was the scapegoat of why they lost. So I'm not sure with that Kyle Murray situation. I think Kyle Murray's probably sick with the Cardinals, I guess.
Yeah, we don't even know what that situation looks like. Shane, your thoughts on the division next year?
Yeah, that's an interesting situation to say the least. You know, I think this division next year gets a whole lot worse, if I'm being honest. I mean, I think Seattle, assuming there aren't any major injuries, they will probably be back and be good, pretty good. Maybe not amazing, but they'll probably be like in their normal 10, 11, 12 win range. LA, I think, probably gets a little bit worse, as you guys were saying, they probably going to lose some key pieces, might even lose the coach. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, I don't think they'll be like bad next year. I think they'll just be like, like a wild card team. Just 9, 10 wins, whatever. Cardinals, probably worse also because I'm not, I don't think Cliff is a good coach. I've watched the last couple of years, and I give every coach at least 2 seasons, except Urban Meyer. That was just a wreck. But
That doesn't
other
count.
than that, that doesn't count. But other than that, I give every coach at least 2 seasons, because it's a big job. I want you to really sink in, and Now I've given him 3 years, right? Yeah, 3 years, and I'm not convinced. I don't think he's the guy. And I've explained why that is in the past. But and Kyler Murray, as William was saying, I mean, who knows what's going on there? A lot of the talent in this team is really old now, kind of like the Rams. So, I think they're just in for another kind of year. And the 49ers, as usual, are a complete shot in the dark, if you ask me. I mean, they, if they can stay, at least in the last few years, when they stay healthy, they're a really good team, like a Super Bowl contender. um, I mean, I wouldn't have called them a Super Bowl contender this year, but they were 3 points away from getting to the Super Bowl, so I guess you have to. But as we saw the year before that, they were really bad with all the injuries, and then the year before that, when they didn't have very many injuries, they made it to the Super Bowl. So the thing that's different now, though, is that Garoppolo's probably out. So, it kind of depends on how Trey Lance is going to be. And I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's ready. I don't, I think he has a high ceiling. I think he has high potential, but I just don't think he's ready right now, just because he's very inexperienced from college. And, but we'll see. I could be wrong. I mean, when you got a guy like Kyle Shanahan and a really creative offense like that, who knows? He could end up looking really good. And so, but right now, I would say that they also get worse. So I think really the only team that improves here is probably the Seahawks, and that's only because they were dealing with a massive injury problem this year, obviously with Wilson. So,
Brandon, your thoughts on this division in 2022?
Yeah, I agree with Shane.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, no problem. I think for me, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, and I say this every time we talk about the Cardinals, but they continue to show me no reason to believe that they're going to step out of their spot of like third place mediocreness. I think they're just gonna be chilling. They're just kind of going around and around and around as a organization. The Rams, who knows? They could be good. They could be bad. They could lose a bunch of people. They could keep a bunch of people. Like whatever. I think the Seahawks. Look, the Seahawks had a lot of injuries. They had a lot of problems. I heard a really good interview with Tyler Lockett the other day, and he basically made the point. They're like, look, like the Seahawks the last couple of years got really good at winning games that they really shouldn't have won, games that were like 3 point, 4.5 point games, and he made the point that they really should have been probably 10-7 this year. Like there were lots of winnable games that they just let get out of their hands, like Vikings game, Chicago game. He basically listed out a whole bunch of like games that they really should have won. And so I think the Seahawks next year, I think they're going to come back strong. They have one of the easiest schedules I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we talked about it.
It's kind of bizarre. Like there is no reason for them not to win at least 10 games.
If Rodgers, not to cut you off, but if Rodgers leaves the Packers, the NFC is really going to be pretty terrible.
They're wide open.
And let me speak on this too on the other side, because this is something I really want to comment on. So historically, right, when we have these really, really young teams, the Bengals, and I know Brandon, I think you brought this up that maybe they were a couple years too early. And I thought about this a lot the last few days. I heard Mike Florio talk about it with Chris Sims yesterday, and I was like, we always think these young teams, I think Seattle even was one of those teams where it's like, oh, these teams are really young. They're going to be back. I mean, Seattle is back, obviously, but let's be completely honest here. Historically, getting to the Super Bowl is hard.
Oh yeah.
It's hard. Like, and that's what makes the Patriots and what they did with Brady so impressive for so many years. Because let's be honest.
Well, the Patriots were brutal about it.
Yeah, I mean, they were so good for so long. I mean, what a crazy dynasty. But that's sort of a sidebar to this. The idea, right? I think we need to put the brakes on this idea that the Bengals are going to be back, because historically that doesn't happen. And then we talked, as you alluded to, Shane, like the NFC is going to be a lot weaker. The talent's in the AFC. So let's list it out just by quarterbacks. Okay. Let's just do quarterbacks. Okay. Burrow, Lamar Jackson.
I'm not ready to put Lamar on that.
I'm just putting it in for national sake. I'm just putting in for national sake.
There, Robert.
I'm just putting on for. I
don't care what the national take is.
I'm just putting it in there for national stuff.
You this year, Robert.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just putting in there because it's the national thing. I'm putting him in there. We'll move on. Okay, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. You still got some good middle level guys, namely Derek Carr, who's going to get a contract extension this year. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch. The AFC is brutal. Like, it's going to be a dog fight for the Bengals to get back here. And the problem is, as Brandon says every year with these young teams, you have to win with that quarterback on your rookie deal. Because if you don't, you're going to be paying. Guess what Burrow's going to get here? He's going to get bank in 3 years' time.
But see, here's the thing, Robert. What you're forgetting is you have a certain team that I think everybody expects to be really good again next year, except tick, tick, tick,
Chiefs.
Tick, Chiefs. The clock is ticking down on them. And honestly, I think next year, I think they're done. I think they squandered their last opportunity for a big run at the Super Bowl this year, like by losing. I personally think if they made it to the Super Bowl, they'd easily hand the Rams a butt whooping. But like, I started out very impressed with them 2 years ago, and I've slowly started just being like, less so.
And with the Bengals, I'm sitting here thinking, Shane, what did we project the Bengals win total to be? 6 wins this year?
I said 5.
5 wins?
Yeah.
I mean, there is a real conversation with the Bengals that they are still in some level of a rebuild, even though they made the Super Bowl. They're one of the only teams I think I've ever said that about. But like, they're not even in a retool. I still think they're in some level of a rebuild. So I don't know.
Yeah. One of their problems is if they're in a rebuild, I mean they have to deal with the fact that they're getting a really bad pick in the draft.
Yeah. I'm saying somewhat of a rebuild. I'm saying that they're like at the really, really good spot to be in a rebuild, the really advanced spot, but they're still in somewhat of a rebuild. I mean, let's be honest. This secondary, the reason why they had Eli Apple is because they gave him a short-term contract because they thought they were still in a rebuild.
I mean, Eli Apple didn't exactly
help at all.
Help his case, but know.
William, give me your thoughts on what the Bengals are going to do here the next few years.
I don't know. It's going to be very, very hard. I think the most thing I would think of is take care of the offensive line, because I thought at first they were going to get Penny Swell, but they've got Jamar Chase. But either or, it was a good investment because Jamar Chase is that good of a talent to not pass on. But I feel like they should at least, because I think they still have money to go after free agency, to after some offensive linemen. Also upgrade your corner, especially get rid of Eli Apple, because to me he was the guy that kind of cost him the game, because you can't really guard Cooper Kupp. No one can guard Cooper Kupp to save their lives. So I feel like they should go out to free agency, get some offensive linemen, corners, and I don't really change much after that, because honestly they have a solid offense. probably need a little tweak on their defense. But overall, I would just say is the major thing to do is try to protect Joe Burrow more than anything else.
Yeah, and Shayna, I'll let you go after I say this. I think this is one of the interesting parts is Kansas City last year had the same problem. Kansas City had a terrible O-line, but it was a backup O-line mostly, but they had a terrible O-line last year. They go out, they makeshift it the next year, but they don't even get back there. So I don't really know. And that's another thing with the Bengals too, is now they have money to spend and a lot of it going into the offseason. But Shane, your thoughts?
Well, that's the thing about, Cincinnati in particular is, you just saw it in the Super Bowl yesterday. There were tons of times where you could tell that the play design was to go deep, and they just couldn't because their offensive line, they just had nothing for the offensive line. And especially, I think, that's the biggest thing they really need to upgrade, because that'll just give you so much, just that much more of an edge on offense. Not just in the pass game, but the run game as well. It'll really open up the middle a lot more. And yeah, I think that's, they have the money, as you were saying. So I think they got to go out and try and get some free agents. I don't exactly know who's available, but
we'll see.
Yeah, whoever you can get, you got to do it, because that was a really close call with Joe Burrow's knee yesterday. And that's, to be fair, it was a kind of a dirty hit, but still, when you've got this bad of an offensive line and he's getting hit that much with his knee that's already messed up, even though he's healed, it's still the scars there, literally. It worries me, man. That was my biggest concern with them this last offseason. When like William was saying, they could have taken Penei Sewell, but instead they took Jamar Chase, and I was just like, what are you doing? You have two good receivers, I guess. Two good receivers. And meanwhile, Joe Burrow is going to get murdered.
And he did. He had the third
And
most sacks in NFL history. He got 7 sacks in the Super Bowl.
Now, Jamar is, I guess, and did end up being a good pick because, look at what he did. But that offensive line is still a problem. So, yeah, and then corner as well. They got some work to do there. Because if you got Jesse Bates, you can get a corner. That's a really good looking secondary.
Corner or two.
Yeah.
And this brings up Brandon's point earlier about the Rams, which is like this is good. This feels like I was talking about with Krebs earlier on the Blitz, like earlier in the week on Saturday. And we were thinking about like, is this really the new era of football? Like where teams are just gonna spend money. And I'm sitting here after today going, yeah, because like the Bengals are at a spot where they're gonna go and do it. Like there's gonna be teams that go and
it's been the trend for the last 2 years now.
Yeah, I can't imagine it stopping. And Brandon, this is something that frustrates you. I agree with you. Like the old traditional style of building a team is like the way to go because you have a good few years and then what happens after? You're in a rebuild forever. But Brandon, your thoughts on sort of your frustrations with kind of the new era of football here?
It's like I don't have a problem with a team getting to a point and being like, oh, we've built our team, we've taken our time, we've gotten our picks, we've gotten our players, we've done it the right way, quote unquote. We need like 1 or 2 more players. We have the money, we have the cap space, we can throw some money at like 1 or 2 players and have that be the final pieces. My problem with the Rams is they basically said, screw the draft picks. Well, we're just gonna stack our team with old players. They basically went the route that they tried to play it like the NBA.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
It's not sustainable. It works, but it's not sustainable.
The fact is if you remember, they've tried to do the same thing for the last like 5 years. And it hasn't worked until now. And it barely worked now.
But people are going to look
So
at the Super
it
Bowl
just,
ring and go,
I
oh,
just,
if the Rams can do it, so can we. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though
I
you're right, like, it
really
barely worked.
hope that team don't do that. But we all know from seeing what happened after the Seahawks won the first Super Bowl.
Teams got
they won
secondary
against
talent.
the Browns. I mean, not the Browns. Against the Broncos.
Okay.
Everybody wanted a secondary. Everybody wanted the quarterback that could run. Everybody wanted to have no offensive line. I mean, what?
No, they had an offensive line around that point.
No, that's the point.
They had
we
pretty
had
solid
a great offensive line. We had a pretty solid line that year. But
they didn't really have like a
if we
team.
hadn't traded our center
Max Unger for
Jimmy Graham, that changed everything.
Jimmy Graham,
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, we would have a good O-line because it changed their mindset away from being like, we don't need a good O-line. It's like, no, we do.
That's the craziest thing. That's similar to what the Bengals did with the draft. It's like we basically did with a trade. You think?
Yeah.
Do you think about that though? It's like we traded for an O-line for a star like tight end or receiver. So it's like, I don't know, that really kind of hurt us though.
Yeah, he wasn't even that good, William. He wasn't even that good because he didn't fit.
Yeah, I know he wasn't that good, but hey, at least he got a Pro Bowl out of him.
Well, he wouldn't even block. Like,
yeah, I know.
He was brought in. He was brought in with the mindset that. Well, it's interesting. He was brought in with the mindset that like the Seahawks were like, oh, he's big. We can get him to block, and he'll be able to catch. We can get 2 birds, 1 stone. Which I don't understand, considering he had made it very clear in New Orleans that he was not going to block.
And we tried to make him a blocking tight end.
But yeah. It's funny, Robert, because my opinion on Penei Sewell. Like, I was literally, I remember. I think. Do you remember?
We did the mock draft. We did the mock draft, and I said I actually chose Jamar Chase in the what we want mock draft, and you were like, "Are you crazy?" And then it happened.
And I took Penei Sewell for him, and I was like, I legitimately remember being like, if this happens, they are dumb. And then watching the draft. It happened, and we were watching together, and I was like, Robert, like, it's so dumb.
I mean, it doesn't look very dumb now. I mean, they still had a good year in Detroit. Let's not get it twisted. He had a really, really good year, and he's looking like a future All-Pro, 100%. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be the right pick historically, but they need to figure out the O-line somehow. You know.
Yeah, there's gonna be some guys in free agency. For me, I would start with the Armstead at first or Brian Kelly, something like that.
We'll see.
Or Allen, I mean.
Yeah. Shane, what's your projection overall for the NFC next year? Like, do you see it? Like, if Aaron goes to Denver, I mean, it's a crapshoot next year, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, I've given my piece about the NFC West. There's not really a team in the NFC West next year that makes me go, oh yeah, they're going to be really good. And I mean, there's a couple where I'm like, yeah, they'll be competitive, but I'm not like banking on a Super Bowl with them. NFC North, yeah, there's no one. Let's see, NFC South, now with Brady supposedly gone.
Gone. No, gone.
We just
Certain
have
gone.
Matt Ryan.
No, I'm just kidding.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, do the Falcons become the best team in the NFC South?
We're not gonna say the Saints. Wait, we're not gonna say the Saints don't get a better quarterback. Someone better.
Do they?
Can
who is
they?
there? I don't think they.
could.
Well, first of all, I don't think they can because of their cap situation. But
Minus
second of
80
all-
million.
Yeah, but
and
second of all,
Capel.
I mean, who is there? Like Garoppolo, maybe?
Him.
I don't know, but anyways, yeah, I don't. I mean, and now with Sean Payton gone, granted, I think their new coach will be fine. But
Dennis Allen, who I mean, hey,
Yeah.
He's good.
yeah, I think he'll be all right. But it's first year, you never know. So, yeah, I mean, the Saints probably are about the same to me. The Bucks were already kind of falling apart, and now a lot of those guys are getting older. Probably gonna retire.
Godwin's gonna leave. Maybe he's a free
Yeah.
agent.
A lot of guys are probably gonna leave and/or retire.
Gronk's gonna leave. I'll get Cincinnati.
Imagine if he
Yeah.
goes to freaking Cincinnati.
That'd be
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, so they're probably not gonna be super great. I don't imagine. Yeah, and then Carolina, I'm not expecting much once again.
Get Deshaun. I mean, really?
Yeah, they could.
I don't know. I wonder who all is going to target Deshaun. I mean, I know a lot of people are, but yeah. And then NFC East.
I have a comment on the NFC East really quick before you go.
Yeah.
An NFL executive, this is from The Athletic. An NFL executive told The Athletic that the Washington Commanders could justify trading the 11th pick for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Ew.
That was like the biggest headline I heard today, and I was like,
Ew, that would be dumb.
Hmm.
I would not do that. Jimmy Garoppolo, no.
Why?
I would do that? That would be cool.
The management of that team is so stupid.
Not
just because of this.
Snyder.
Well, yeah, that's
just
true.
Snyder's thing, yeah.
I don't.
And the name is stupid too. And
I think the most I would trade for Garoppolo is a player and
A third.
maybe a second,
Third.
maybe. But more like a third. Funny enough, I predict the NFC East, after their years of being terrible, will be the second best division in the NFC next year. I cannot believe I'm saying that, but here we are. I mean, Dallas will be Dallas again, probably. Philly seems kind of be on the rise, maybe, depending on some things. The Commanders, that feels weird to say. They're, who knows what's going on there, but the Giants, they seem to be on the right track, maybe, hopefully.
Not really, no.
Not
I think
really,
they have
but
3-4 years
I'm
left.
just being hopeful. Brian Dable seems like a step up at coach, but we'll see. So, yeah, that's the NFC. Really, really terrible. Meanwhile, if Rodgers does go to the Broncos, the AFC West. I feel like Patrick from that one episode of SpongeBob. I thought you said West. Anyways, the AFC West gets, if they get Rodgers, they get a lot better. I mean, they're already a great division, but I mean, dang, talk about putting gas on fire. And if the Ravens are going to come back and be healthy, assume. Let's hope. Same with the Browns.
Same with every NFL team, right? We just want everyone to be healthy.
Yeah, obviously. The Ravens and Browns will probably be back and be healthy, so they're probably going to be a lot better. The Bengals are obviously they've shown that they are pretty good. Steelers are also pretty good, especially if they can get a quarterback.
Yeah.
Wait, Dwayne Haskins. I've said this. Make Dwayne Haskins the starter, 2022.
I mean, unless you can find a better starter in free agency or trade somebody,
Yeah.
Then yeah, but
no Mason Rudolph, please.
The dent head.
They're gonna fight Myles Garrett again.
Myles Garrett.
You're gonna be like, "What's good? I know you did that crap to me again. What the hell, man? Payback, what hell, man?"
Yeah, so that's 4 great teams in the AFC West and North. 2 pretty good teams in the AFC South, Titans and Colts. The other 2 we don't talk about. Then 2 really good teams in the AFC East. Again, the other 2 we don't talk about. So, that's math. What is that? 12 pretty solid teams just in the AFC. Whereas in the NFC, I think you've got 4.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Wow.
NFC is where you want to be right now.
The AFC. Imagine if that happens, Rodgers up to AFC West, it's probably the best division of football.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Brandon, do you
Or
agree?
North? I don't know.
North? Yeah.
AFC West or North, I'd say.
As long as Steelers get better with the quarterback, then I'll say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be the only AFC division mostly that has all pretty top tier quarterbacks.
Yeah. Except Derek Carr.
I love Derek though. That's the thing. I feel good about Derek going next year.
Yeah, I mean, if they got Rodgers, I think that's the whole division would be top 12 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Which is a little scary.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, State Farm would love that, though. I'll tell you. Seeing Mahomes and Rodgers go at it twice a year, oh, dude, they can make some great commercials about that.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of commercials, before we go, let's talk about the commercials in the halftime show.
Oh, God.
So I rate the commercials this year. Last year, I rated them, I think, a D or an F.
Shane, we all know that you're a big old hater when it comes to the greatest rap music of all time.
Okay.
I didn't say anything about the performance.
You said, "Oh God."
No. When Robert was talking about the
Oscars. Oh, the commercial. No, but the halftime performance, it can't be number 1, right, Brandon? There's no way. Prince is the number 1. No one's gonna ever beat that.
No, it is
or
great.
Michael.
No.
But Prince is hard to beat.
Dude. Prince is good. This is to me is what a Super Bowl halftime show should be. It was an extravaganza. It was solid. It was great music. It was the classic songs, and it also managed to include cultural aspects of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Prince is great. Prince was an art show. They're great in 2 different ways. Prince's performance was flowy and artistic and great and cool and suave and very Prince. And this was just I want to jump up and down and just listen to really good hip hop and chill with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best one out of it from that performance was that when they did that piano rendition with a Tupac song, I was like, okay, that was good. The rest of it's it just saying
California Love. We knew California Love was coming too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love this halftime. I think now I'll rate it like second or third all time. But I don't know. The Prince halftime is just special to me. It's just special to me. But
He was Michael Jackson when that was awesome.
yeah.
Even I heard Michael Irvin say he tried to sneak out of the halftime of the locker room to watch his performance, how great it was.
Speaking of which, Evan McPherson GOAT
Yeah.
Super Bowl moment. But I'm a kicker.
Awesome.
I don't need to be in the freaking halftime locker room. I want to go to the halftime.
If I was Evan McPherson, I would totally do the same thing. I'd be like, dude, I gotta go see like Snoop and Dre and
50
Eminem.
Cent, Eminem, bro.
50 Cent, who I didn't even know was gonna be there. Bro, can we talk about 50 Cent and the fact that he like
Spider-Man
he's in such good shape. I thought he was like strapped to the top of that thing. Nah, he was straight up doing like a pull up.
Yeah, no, it was great. But I honestly have always been a proponent of like the players should be allowed to like watch the halftime show. Like add an extra 10 minutes of the halftime. I don't care. Like let the players watch it. It's a cool event. Like it's fun. Like let them watch it. Like come on. Like I always love how like I was with family and friends and it's like most of them didn't really care. Like a few of us did like of the game, but everyone was in the room for the halftime. Like people care about the halftime show. So I'm always like let the players watch it. But commercials this year, C. I give it a C. Average. Commercials are getting worse as it's getting more expensive, which I think is amazing. It's almost like they're trying too hard because they're paying so much goddamn money for it. I'm like,
there was like only two creative ones. The other ones like there was two creative ones, but the other two I think was pretty cool. But the other ones was I remember one they had like all the sports teams in a bowling alley for that.
Yeah, the Peyton Manning one was great. The Michelob Ultra, that was really good.
I like the LeBron James one where
I love that one.
CGI for with the younger stuff. That was kind of a cool moment. And then the other one was, to me, my first favorite was the Jim Carrey one. I thought that was pretty cool because I thought always Jim Carrey growing up. I always thought Jim Carrey was pretty funny. Nowadays, it's like, yeah. But he did have those like real funny moments when he was Dr. Eggman in the Sonic movies, though. But yeah, Jim Carrey one, that was a great commercial.
The biggest fail is Coinbase. Fail. F. The entire commercial is a flipping barcode. For literally, I'm not kidding, a flipping minute.
It was like the corner thing, hit the corner.
I know, but like also if you did, it's probably still available. They give like $15 in free Bitcoin and stuff. So like, like that's pretty lit. But at the same time, like I was kind of scared. I was like, wait, is there something wrong with NBC? Like, why are they showing a blinking barcode?
Same.
For two, or not for
so
one
confused.
flipping minute. I was like, what the frick is going on?
I think my favorite commercial was the I forget what it was for, but the one with Colin Jost and
Amazon.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I thought
that was my favorite one as well.
Corny.
That was I don't know. I just thought it was funny. The halftime show though, I mean, like I'm not really a big rap fan as some of you might know. But I didn't mind this halftime show for for the reasons that Brandon, you were kind of talking about, how it's like all these Super Bowl performances, halftime performances, they always seem like they're trying to be, flashy and big and whatever. But it wasn't really like that. It felt like a show that honored the right word? I don't know. A show that showcased
LA culture. Yeah.
LA and culture. Yeah, where it was, which I thought was really cool because it's like it kind of makes the actual location relevant as opposed to Katy Perry coming out on a shark. Like, that's
that was the worst ever.
Yeah. So, I really liked it for that reason. And, seeing all those different people and having their different moments was cool. regardless of what you think of Snoop Dogg, he's very entertaining. I mean, all those guys are really.
Did you guys watch the Puppy Bowl at all?
No.
Oh, I love the Puppy Bowl. Puppy Bowl's great with like Snoop and Martha.
I think one of my favorite halftime shows, at least of the Super Bowls I've seen, which goes back to 2009, the Colts Saints game.
Yeah.
Whichever that was, 9, 10, whatever. I think one of my favorite ones in that time was the Bruno Mars show.
Well, that was the one that we won, so it's like the most memorable.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the year we won. It was Bruno did the halftime.
Oh. Well, see, I don't even remember that. So
it was the one that the Seahawks won.
Game. Well, okay.
Yeah, boy.
Well, that goes. You mean this game right here?
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show you that I thought it was a good performance and that I wasn't just like,
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Bruno came back the next year with Coldplay and Beyonce or whatever, I think. So he did double time.
That was crazy.
That was a good one. That one I think will always be underrated, but that was a good one.
I'm just not a Coldplay guy. I don't know.
I feel like they're more divisive than I like them personally, but I like their older stuff. I think that's most people. But I think they're a bit more divisive than you would think. Also, let's just give a shout out to the movie trailers this year. Moon Knight had a good teaser. Doctor Strange had a great teaser, a great full trailer and a great TV spot, which got me all hype. And can someone explain to me what the heck is this Nope movie with Jordan Peele? I still don't get this plot.
I don't know.
But it looks pretty cool. If you're into horror, yeah, that's a shout. But I'm not. So.
But you're gonna go see Doctor Strange 2, which is apparently
that's a horror movie, but it's like MC. That would be like my first true horror film.
It doesn't look that scary though.
It looks like it, as you said, like it looks like physiologically scary, like kind of like freaks with your mind scary. But it was like Doctor Strange. It was like Doctor Strange 1 kind of too, but it's like, okay, we're gonna like bump it up like a million notches, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all for that.
I wouldn't really call the first Doctor Strange scary.
Not scary, but like visually bizarre.
Oh yeah.
Brandon, your thoughts on the movie trailers that we saw on Sunday?
I thought most of them were, pretty good. I think Nope intrigued me a lot because I think Jordan Peele continues to put out interesting looking stuff. Multiverse of Madness looks bizarre.
It looks very Sam Raimi.
Yeah. I think my one thing with Multiverse of Madness, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, is I hope they don't over capacity it with cameos.
Yeah. I hope not. They don't need that. I hope that if we see like a bunch of cameos, it's gonna like traveling between universes and you just see random people pop up or something. That would be kind of quirky and fun. But like other than that, yeah, don't put too many people in here. But Professor X looks sick. He looks sick. I mean, we only heard his voice, but
saw his bald head
and his head. But he's probably like a variant though, which kind of intrigues me. He must be some variant. Maybe
Patrick Stewart. So
yeah, this is probably gonna be up there. Probably gonna be up there as one of the best because I think Doctor Strange, that one, they're gonna have a bunch of actors gonna be part of it. So we're thinking like the Avengers, Infinity War. They got like a bunch of people in there.
Yeah.
Cramming all into that one movie because it's all about the multiverse. I just hope they don't confuse people at the end. Like if they're not a Marvel fan or something.
What I'm trying to figure out, and I know we'll see this, but I'm really intrigued. Not how this movie goes. I'm more intrigued of how it ends. Like, how do you end something that Like, how do you end that and then do like a post-credit scene? What will the post-credit scene be, for God's sakes? Imagine if the post-credit scene is Deadpool. I will take that. If the post-credit scene is flipping Deadpool or one of them, yes, perfect.
It's just the scene of Deadpool sitting on the bridge and the radio playing.
Yeah, because I think Spider-Man was able to do it because at the end we saw just one of the Venom symbiotes still there after going back to time where his time is. So I think the Doctor able to do something like that because usually Avengers always good at those cool series because it makes you guess, what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think what would be funny is like, so he does like, Deadpool 2, he does all the time travel stuff. And then he ends up like maybe screwing up with the time travel or something in post-credit scene. And he gets transported in the MCU and he's like, what the happened? And that's it. Because I think that would be hilarious. If it's just him like having a one-liner where he just says the F word and that's it. That's the post-credit scene.
It would be funny if it was him, but also we have Domino and especially Cable because Cable's always about the time travel. So that would be funny if it was that he's like, yeah, what the fuck? Hey, get shit together, bro. And then he's like, wait, what the fuck?
Where the fuck are we? And that's it.
Somebody hears Cable and they're like, well, yeah, and then somebody hears Cable say something and they're like, you kind of sound like Thanos.
Yeah, like, shut up, Thanos. Oh, yeah, he's like, Thanos. Oh, no, that's not Thanos, and that's Cable. Oh, but that's the same actor. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. Like breaking the fourth wall. That'd be funny. That'd be funny, breaking the fourth wall.
Oh my God. All right. Well, that looks like it for today. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, William. Shane, Brandon, I will see you guys in a couple of weeks on the podcast. Looks like we'll have like our own vibe and all these different things, but we'll plan that out as we go along. But I'll see you both in a couple of weeks.
Woo.
All right.
Yeah. So, and then we'll see you guys back on the Blitz all week. We got Wednesday and Sunday on the Vibe. Hopefully everything kind of gets straightened out. You'll see William and I on there, and then you'll see Shane, Brandon, and I back kicking it in 2 weeks. But thank you guys for spending your Monday. Hope you all have a great rest of your Valentine's days, and then we will see you all soon. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.
See ya.
All right.